Karen Holton TV presents the Aliens and Angels podcast. Meet experiencers, contactees, abductees, ET human hybrids, and more weird paranormal states of reality. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Aliens and Angels podcast in 2026. Today, my returning guest is Dr. Christopher Macklin, and we will be discussing alien abductions and implants, and he's going to give us a forecast for 2026. But before we get started, I want to give you a little bit of background information for those of you who are not familiar. Dr. Macklin was born as a highly aware psychic child in Chester, England, and he was able to perceive energy fields, spirit activity, and multidimensional phenomena from a very young age. Later, he began to meditate for hours a day for 4 years in order to integrate his highest path and to understand the divine healing that he was being called to share with the world. His exemplary research findings are culled from scientific evidence, intuitive information, and divine connection, which makes him a highly respected speaker, lecturer, and medical consultant worldwide. Dr. Christopher Macklin serves an international client base, helping thousands of people rebalance and heal from various physical, mental, and emotional issues. His clients' testimonials serve as ample proof in understanding these life-changing experiences. And for more information, go to his website, www.globalenlightenmentproject.com. And of course, the links will always be in the description below. Today, Dr. Macklin is an internationally known energy healer who specializes in healing people from all forms of illness, emotional and physical, especially those created through ET technologies such as alien implants, Morgellons, Lyme Disease, etc. And he has developed his own protocol for removing them from the body. Dr. Macklin treats emotional disorders, including addictions, chronic depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. The whole person and their whole life are treated. Therefore, relationships of families and loved ones can also be repaired and restored. So as I mentioned, all of the links are featured below. Thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing, and please do share my content with your friends. And I'm happy to announce that I now take YouTube memberships, so you can take advantage of my perks and help to support my channel. Without further ado, here he is, Dr. Christopher Macklin. Welcome to the show.
Oh, Karen, thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here. Pleasure to be back, actually. So we're doing it.
Yeah,
and it's 2026 already. Oh, gosh.
And people are needing your help, I think, probably more than ever before. I wanted to talk a bit about alien implants. People tend to be highly skeptical when we talk about alien implants, but we all know there's extensive evidence, there's all kinds of information out there. But I'm wondering if we could zero in on Morgellons at this point, because it seems to be a real problem. People are posting all kinds of, where they've taken a microscope and they've shown that this is a real thing and it's invading people's bodies. Dr. Macklin, do you think this is a human-made technology, or is this an alien or ET-made problem?
I think it's a human problem, but with off-planet technology. So,
good
all
point.
this technology. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think this world's supposed to have bacterial structures, and on this planet, there's plenty of herbs to take care of bacteria and everything else. Mm-hmm. But if you look at, I want to pull this up because it's really important. So, but what's happened is gain of function, over the last, since the 1940s, they've started to develop helical bacterial structures, which goes into pathogenic structures, which is basically a parasite, and they're very robust, very difficult to get rid of. And then they developed another gain of function called stealth pathogens, which are things like Borrelia Lyme, HIV/AIDS, Agent Orange. So that was, if we have a look at, it's just interesting to look at the dates. So if you look at the dates, Agent Orange was developed first in 65 by, you can all imagine who, but gain of function. So, and they've been doing this for a while. Then they moved it on to Lyme disease, which was first identified in 1975. Again, gain of function. It is different. Agent Orange is different than Lyme disease. It affects the body differently. Agent, the nervous system. Lyme disease, yes, does affect the nervous system, but it's also full of a lot of neurotoxins, damage the brain. You get brain fog. Things start breaking down like your teeth, and, your liver gets overloaded. But these things, do get into the liver and create like scar tissue and biofilm. And then HIV/AIDS identified in 1981. Again, all these three stealth pathogens, Agent Orange, Lyme disease, and HIV/AIDS, is one slight step away from each other. They're almost the same. And then you get Morgellons syndrome, which is strains of Lyme disease, and then you got Morgellons identified in 2002. So it's been an interesting journey, and I've been working on this since 2011. Because one thing I believe is that you cannot heal something if you don't understand how it works. When I first was introduced to it, I worked with a world-leading industrial toxicologist called Dr. Hildy, and she showed me, and we looked at slides, we looked at things coming out of people's bodies under electron microscopes, and this stuff is very serious. Now, of course, they've used all that technology into the latest, COVID thing, needly thing, let's call it, because people get all excited about it if you say too much about it. But it's a bioweapon. So what's that got in it? Well, if you look at Morgellons, the early days of Morgellons, certain people were targeted, like gifted people. They can read your aura. So if you've got gifts and things, they can tell by the energy in your body. So what they did is, they started dusting you with this technology. It's called smart dust, but it's Morgellon particles, 10 to the -9 small. And then what they do is they'd affect the DNA. You can affect the DNA by several things. Agrobacterium, it's in GMO foods or past jabs. The current way is CRISPR technology, which actually splices your genetics. And that DNA, RNA, and immune systems all connected, which means that you don't have the immune response to take care of it. So it starts replicating your body. The problem with this stuff, all the things, it's got graphene in it. We know about graphene, it's carbon. It's also got bindings of things like nylon 3633. It's got bindings of silicates, polymers. It's got complementary metal oxide transistor arrays in it. So now the Morgellons particles are fully blown, and they've got lots of like I say, bindings, which what happens is the bindings do grow. And people often say, hang on a minute, nylon, I mean, shirt's nylon 9. What do you mean it grows? How can you make a shirt grow? Well, what they've done is the way they've bound it, which is off-planet technology from the grey reticular beings, is they've bound it to the particles in such a way that what you need for growth, oxygen, carbon, well, graphene is carbon, moisture, you've got all that in your body. So what happens is, if you don't have an immune response, the stuff starts to replicate through your tissue, through your teeth, comes out of your eyes, you name it, it comes out, and it makes you transhuman. And it's a serious disease. My personal opinion is it's the worst disease on the planet, which is Morgellons, which is basically the jab, the latest one. So yeah, it's horrific. But don't forget, it can transmit and receive frequencies. The graphene oxide tubes, they've got CMOS, complementary metal oxide transistor arrays. It's a computer. It transmits. It also receives frequencies. The graphene oxide spheres are loaded with 92 viruses. So imagine a football, 10 to the -9 small, teeny, you can hardly see it. You need an electron microscope to see it. They've managed to develop it where it's got like 92 holes in it. They've loaded pre-existing things like pathogens, Marburg virus, different elements in it, and it's all connected to a central antenna within that particle, where if you trigger a 5G frequency, it will release a particular virus. So it's pretty insane, actually. But yeah.
Wow, it really is. And what sort of terrifies me is the evil that certain individuals have, that they can justify, experimenting on the human population, and make us sick. Well, we know that when we get sick, we're just cha-ching, cha-ching. We're making so much money for the pharmaceutical industry, the doctors. It's really interesting how our perceptions have changed. I used to think, and this is just my opinion, I have to say that on account of YouTube, but it's my opinion. I used to go and see the doctor, and actually sometimes they would give me some actual advice that was helpful. I have found that ever since 2020, going to the doctor is completely useless. And this is just based on my own experience and my own opinion. This is not medical advice. I'm not saying that for anyone else. So when I go to see the doctor, I want to know what's going on that's causing my problem, so that I can course correct and take care of my own health and take some responsibility for it. But the doctors, they don't care. They don't even want to know what's causing it. They only do symptom management through pharmaceuticals. That's it. They're not, I wonder how much they even know about human physiology. And here I've been in my body for 70 years. I know a bit about it. We're good friends. I've been medically responsible for myself most of my life. And so I'm finding out that there seems to be no place to go. And the dental industry seems to be following suit, and the veterinary industry seems to be following suit. And it's pretty scary. And then on top of all of that, when we talk about this stuff, people just think we're wearing a tinfoil hat. And people, for some reason, they don't want to even know. They are content with being sick and tired all the time. And they just think it's natural to get cancer and all these other horrible diseases. But I actually believe the body has an amazing built-in intelligence. If we remove the toxic load and we add the nutrients and things that we need, the body has an amazing ability to heal. Would you agree or disagree with that, Dr. Macklin?
Oh, 100%. I think the problem is with the manipulation, like say CRISPR technology, what does it do? It splices the genetics. So it splices your chromosomes, which means DNA, RNA, and immune systems all connected. So your immune goes down to 16%. You have no immune ability. So this stuff grows in your body. And that's why, if you look at it, turbo cancer comes up. Why is turbo cancer there? Because the poor people who've taken these things, these bioweapons, have no immune system whatsoever. It's interesting you say about the medical industry, because, and again, just reminding, just for YouTube, guys, I'm not a medical doctor. Go consult your doctor. Phone 911 if you got emergency. I'm a PhD, but I've done a lot of research on this, and it's interesting because in 2014, early 2014, I was on talking about the Vatican and how satanic it was, things like this, and never thought anything. And then I started getting really sick, and anyway, I was really ill. Like, I was throwing up all the time, dizzy, could hardly walk. And, my friend's a doctor. He's a great guy, actually. He's about 73. He's retired. He said, if you don't go to the emergency room tonight, you're not going to be here tomorrow. Oh, God. Wow. Okay. Okay, I'm going. So I went down and they said, you're in end-stage heart failure. I'm like, what, over like a few weeks? Anyway, they checked my heart. Heart's perfect. My arteries were perfect, but my heart valve became bicuspal. Now, I know it wasn't in England. So what happened is, because of talking about this, they used low-frequency energy weapons and melted the cusp of my heart valve together. And so I had a choice, and I talked to the because that being, especially Mother Mary. I said, look, do I have time to heal it? She goes, no, you need the operation like right now. Otherwise, you're not going to be here. Now, because my heart's the size of a volleyball, the valve is bigger than the ones I got off the shelf. I had to go in and they had to reduce the hole, do open heart surgery, split my chest open, and put a new valve in that was the biggest they had on the shelf. And, anyway, I went through all that. People said, well, why can't you heal yourself? Because I didn't have time, just literally didn't have time. Anyway, we went through all that. But what was interesting about this, Karen, is well, two things. One is that I did a complete DNA reset. I'm not talking about activation. I'm not talking about stuff. I'm talking about the beings going in and doing psychic surgery. And they start with the first cell where life began. They repair the chromosomes, connect the helix together, reset the DNA of that cell back to the blueprint, cells around it, cells around it, cells around it. Takes about 18 weeks. Anyway, I did that in 2009. Before that, my blood was O negative, and now my blood doesn't clot very well. So I was in ICU. Said, we're going to have to give you 3 pints of blood. You got to be kidding. So, okay. So I said, by the way, it's O negative. Oh, okay, we have to test it. He came back. He said, no, it's not. It's A negative. So my whole blood type changed, which is really interesting.
Wow.
Now, the second thing about this story is what you're talking about, doctor. So I know a lot about the heart and the vascular system. It's energetic. It's not a pump, nothing to do. The heart is nothing to do with a pump. It's basically a vessel that loads up with blood, and then it's ramrodded through using energetics. Because just think about it. If you get a heart, you get a 100-foot, hose pipe, and you fill it full of water and you squeeze it. How far is that water going to go? 4 feet, 6 feet? So how do you get the blood in 10,000 miles of pipes around your body? The answer is it's done by polarity, and every single blood vessel pumps it through using polarity and moving it forward. It's ramrodded through the whole system. So anyway, I went to see my cardiologist, and he said, well, you're not on any tablets, not anymore, And I said, absolutely not. He said, well, your blood pressure's perfect. I said, yeah. I said, Dr. Robbie, let me ask you a question. He goes, what's that? I said, you must know, surely, being a cardiologist, that the whole cardiovascular system is energetic. The heart's not a pump. He goes, yes. We're getting somewhere. So you must know that magnesium is a key instrument, so it doesn't get a Charlie horse and brings your blood pressure down. He goes, well, yes. And then suddenly he opened up and started talking about the food and the water and, the lack of nutrients. So it shows you that they have this knowledge, but the suppression from wherever it's coming from, the hospitals or the CDC, which is now all changing, thank goodness. I think they're suppressed, and they've got handcuffs on. They can't do anything except, have some beta blockers, have some this. And all these pills are petrochemical pills. They're bad for you. They create terrible side effects. So yeah, interesting story.
It is for sure. When I go to the doctor, I think they don't know what to do with me, because I won't take any pharmaceuticals at all. I don't do any over-the-counter at all. I do the odd, herbal remedy, and I take a few vitamin supplements. I'm very careful what I eat. It's about the best I could do. But what's interesting, and I don't know, I'm sure you've had this experience too, and that is recently, I do a lot of research about my health and stuff, but recently I found something quite powerful where I was in a meditative state, and I don't know where it came from. I just said it. I said it out loud. I said, I give myself permission to heal. So I think there's a lot of things in our reality that are keeping us from even believing that we have that kind of sovereignty over our physical health. I'm wondering, sort of want to segue, not really related, but do you think that a lot of those components that were in the jab and Morgellons and things like that, are they, can we pass them to each other? Are they contagious? And can we get sick from being around sick people?
Oh, yeah, you can. I mean, I've looked at spike protein count. Spike proteins are these proteins that I've got in the jab. It's got HIV microinserts, and I found that, there are a few labs that actually count spike proteins, but not a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, in hospital, mine was 0. When I came out of hospital, it was up to 1600, which is shedding. Now, how do you get shedding? Well, of
Oh.
course, you know, people are losing. You know, people shed cells all the time in hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in train stations, everything else. So, if you're around people too much, you know, what's going to happen is you are going to get the spike protein count up, but also you can get the particles. Now, the thing is about the particles is this stuff doesn't replicate, and you know, this is an important point. It doesn't replicate if your immune system is robust. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for a lot of people, they won't get sick, but some people, I mean, I remember going, you know, I've never had any jabs at all, you know, like that. And I remember going to my nieces or Mandy's nieces. It was a graduation, and there was like 4 to 6 people jabbed there. I was in there 2 hours. I came back, I had a massive rash, like right down the side of my body. I thought, wow, you know, and I checked the spike protein count by dowsing. It was pretty high. So, you know, I just, you know, got my Kisdet beans, cleared it. It went after about 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, you can get the contamination for sure. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I had the unfortunate experience of I go see my grandchildren that live in another province with my daughter and son-in-law. I go see them once a year, and it was in, I don't know, 2020 or 2021, whatever. My daughter and her husband had to get the jab in order to keep their jobs, and but they didn't tell me. And so I went to visit them, and their kids were sick and they were sick, and I was getting snotted on and sneezed on and everything. When I came home, I felt like I had to do a detox. I actually felt not very well for quite a while until I was able to recover. So, we didn't really have a family fight or anything over it, but I just let them know I would appreciate knowing. But in their minds, they don't know anything about shedding and side effects. They don't even want to know. They're very secular people, and they think I'm kind of full of nonsense. But anyway, enough about that. I'm curious to know. So we know about Morgellons, we know about Lyme's disease, we know about HIV, we know about the jab and the plandemic, I will call it that. And I'm wondering, just because we're not hearing about it, I'm assuming doesn't mean that nonsense has stopped. So as far as you know, is this still, are they still doing gain of function? And that's the other thing is, why hasn't Dr. Fauci, why isn't his butt in jail? That's what I want to know. And is it really that there's just this evil empire that might be in cahoots with the Greys? I don't know. It's like so much information coming in and so rapid. It's really hard to know what's real, what's going on, what's not. But what's your take on on the situation today, and what should we be doing? I know this is not medical advice, but in your opinion, what should we be doing to protect ourselves and to recuperate, in 2026?
Well, I think if you had the jab, I'd take it out. We do have a protocol, which is a 34-week program. The only way to get this stuff out, because if you think about it, it becomes part of your tissue. It's not, I mean, it's heavy metal, but it's in your tissue. It's grown within your cells. The nylon is grown within your arteries. There's 100 million people now with nylon in their arteries or in that, blood vessels. And, it's nylon 36. It's squid-like. But, it's been bound to the particles and it's growing, I think the second thing is that people say, oh, no, I feel fine. I took the jabs, I feel fine. But when you don't feel fine, you collapse and most people are passing away. And why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Because the nano grows in the heart muscle. And I was talking to the cardiologist about this. It grows through the heart muscle. And so people have a heart attack. They go in. I know someone who died for 49 minutes. It's a cleaner's daughter. Died for 49 minutes, went into the emergency room. She collapsed there, couldn't revive 40 minutes. Got her back, great. They scanned her and, oh, there's nothing in your heart. But I said, but hang on, this stuff is 10 to the -9 small. A normal scan will not see it. And so, I said, you need some sort of electron microscope scan, which they haven't got. And they said, well, we're not worried about that because they don't care. But it's important that, if you have taken the jab, get it out, because you never know when it's going to catch up with you. Now, if people who haven't had the jab, my advice is, again, it's not medical advice. It's actually the power of maps of intent prayer. And that is, we have a 27 esoteric Merkabah field prayer. Now, it's very powerful. It keeps entities away. You can say it 3 times a day. But if you're going to be amongst people with the jabs, my advice is to say it in the morning, the prayer, and then just say, dear God, I command you reinstate it every hour for the next 24 hours. And then I'll be reinstated. And we've actually done some lab works on this, that it actually stops shedding. And I had a microbiologist. He said, well, I want to check this. So she checked the spike protein count, nothing. She went all over California, did the prayer every hour. And then the next day she came back, checked the spike protein count. She got nothing. So does it work? And the thing is, people say, well, we don't have the money like Bezos and like Fauci, all these people, we don't have the money. How are we going to go against them? Listen, this is just dollar bills. It's worthless. We have the power of prime creator, I define God as God, Goddess, prime creator of all it is. And that power is way, way above anything these cabal people have got. So I think you have to look at the power of prayer. Another thing as well to keep you safe is the food. People say, well, I'm eating organic. So you bought organic from where? Walmart, from a shop. That means it's been in a field and it's been sprayed on from the chemtrails. So it's full of stuff anyway. So is it organic? No. So again, power of prayer. We have a power of prayer. I like the word map of intent. And that's basically, if you put your hands around your food, really focus on it and say the prayer, and it goes like this. I am of God. I ground myself to the earth. Dear God, I command you, remove any ungodlike particles, optimize the vibration of the food, bless the souls of the animals and the plants that allowed our body nutrition, and we thank you, God, send you our unconditional love. And I'll tell you what, that food, it does get rid of the contamination, and it's, it's frustrating because, if people believed it, we have everything at your fingertips. We really do. It's just that we've got to do it every piece of food you eat.
Yeah, I was at one point, I was a vegetarian. I thought I was doing it right. I thought my body was going to heal, but I actually got very sick. Where I live in Canada, they don't have to label stuff. So our stuff that's labeled organic could have that appeal coating on it. All kinds of things. I walk through the supermarket and I go, oh my gosh, there's hardly anything I recognize as food in here anymore. And then, I mean, I don't like to eat animals. I have pets. I wouldn't want to eat them. But at the same time, it seems to be what my body needs, especially rudiment animals that have several stomachs that really can process I guess the nutrition before it's turned into their meat. Not saying everyone should eat the way I do, but sorry, I have to interrupt for a second, acknowledge Kristen. Thank you for the super chat. Very, very generous of you. Very sweet. Thank you so very, very much. Just had to acknowledge my dear supporter there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I've also, in my research, have found not evidence, but people who have done a lot of research, they say that we could have implants that are attached to our DNA. We can have implants that are on an etheric or energetic level that can also control us. That they're a lot of people believe that we're just a big fat science experiment here on Earth, right? With all kinds of beings being involved. So beyond the implants that were possibly and probably engineered by humans with alien technology, what other kind of implants would people want to know, be aware of, so that when they're what I would call failing to thrive despite their best efforts, what would you like to tell them about other kinds of implants? And of course, prayer for me, there's nothing beats prayer for power. But well, then we're co-creating with the universe and universal consciousness. I mean, you can't do any better than that, right? But what do you have to say to the viewers who, might not even know that there's other kinds of implants?
Oh, there definitely is. Before I comment on that, Karen, could I just go back to your point about being vegetarian?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a really, really important point, and that is that, yeah. So my opinion, like yours, do you want to eat animals? Well, I think if you bless them, if you use the prayers and bless them, that prayer that I told you, they in Pennsylvania, the medicine man phoned me and he goes, "Can we use your prayer? Would you mind if you use your prayer?" I said, "Mind?" I said, "It'd be an absolute honor." And so they translated it and put it on the whole reservation for them to use because it's in keeping with Native American. But anyway, coming back to vegetarian, you're right. And I've been trying to tell people that for a long time. The CIA PSYOP was you need to be vegetarian because it's much better for you. It's not. Why is that? Because if you don't digest the greenery properly, then you're going to get oxalates, which is toxins. So you get oxalates in your system. And then if you eat meat from a cow and it's got 4 stomachs, whatever it's got, it's had the stages of breaking the stuff down properly. So when you eat the meat, you're getting all your nutrients from the meat. We were designed to eat meat, and people say, "Wow, Okay, well, the other thing about it as well is if you don't have meat, there's fatty acids and things that your brain thrives on, and if you don't ingest those, you will end up with Alzheimer's because your brain will start degrading. I'm seeing that a lot with vegetarian people where in their 30s, 35, they're actually getting Alzheimer's at 32, 35. Why is that? Because the brain's, the brain isn't, it needs nutrition and it's not getting it, just from plants and things. So it's pretty, and Fearless, Phoenix, then I'm grateful for the family farm, and absolutely. And I buy stuff from farms, and I'd encourage everyone, go to your local farm. Don't go to your store. Never know where the stuff's come from. Go to a beautiful farm where people look after the animals, they take care of them. And the other thing about it as well is, and again, don't forget, I'm not a medical doctor, go sort your doctor, phone 911, But, they're now giving people statins. What are they? Well, they're going to reduce your cholesterol because some wise person in the CDC or wherever it is decided that the doctors need to be able to pay for the staff on the yacht. So what they did is they reduced the cholesterol level as normal from 300 to 200. And, when I was in hospital, I said, we're going to have to give you statins because your cholesterol's normal, but it's what did they say? It's preventative. I said, hang on, my cholesterol's normal, then it's preventive. What are you on about? And so statins, again, if you take statins for too long, you're going to get Alzheimer's, you're going to get problems with your brain. Your brain needs cholesterol, So that's a really interesting. But going back to sorry, I was just digressing.
No, it's all good. All of this is really important and good stuff, Dr. Macklin. So please take us wherever
Karen, I honor you because, you're absolutely right. The animals have stomachs to digest the stuff. We don't, but by eating the animal, we're getting the nutrients from them. But so coming back to implants, what other sorts of implants? Well, it's interesting because I don't know whether or not a lot of people know this. I'm going to share it with you. The grey reticular really got in touch with the Nazis and Hitler, and obviously did a deal with them where they could abduct people for technology. So, they're swapping the technology and abducting people. And then what happens is that the grey reticular were stealing eggs and sperm, put them in a plastic pod, and then, put them together and then created a fetus. But they were getting like a weird creature coming out. What the heck's going on here? And the answer is, if you want a proper human being, you need a woman's womb. I mean, I know people know this. I think it's fundamental, but because you need the God energy around it. So when that complex soul is coming through, it bonds through the womb into the fetus, and it creates a proper human being. Now, if you take the fetus and if you produce the fetus in a plastic pod, you will not get a normal human soul, you get an AI draconian one. That's why a lot of people are kind of checked out. There's nothing in their eyes because they don't have a soul. They have an AI type soul. So that's an important point. So so what happened is they realized this, the grey reticulate. What do we do now? So what they did then is they started abducting women. They would make them pregnant, seed them, and they put implants in. They put one around the heart, one around the womb, one around the brainstem, normally 3. They would monitor them until the soul would come in, then they'd abduct them again. Once the soul's bonded to the fetus, then you can take it out and put it in a plastic pod, and it'll survive. So that whole thing changed. That's why a lot of people do have implants. They do transmit, receive frequencies. There's been a number of doctors who have actually measured these things, and they're in the gigahertz frequencies, and they said, oh yeah, you got an implant here, and they've actually done an operation and pulled a little device out, where the implant was. So they do exist. I mean, this is not tinfoil hat. This is fact, but of course, like you, I get called like you're nuts, you're tinfoil hat. My father phoned me one day and said, I've got to tell you, you're absolutely barking mad. I said, God, Dad, that's the best compliment I've ever had off you. And he goes, what? Yeah, at least he knows.
Well, that's been used for hundreds of years. The quickest way to discredit anyone is to say that they are crazy or non-compos mentis. But I think it's the opposite. Compos mentis means, are you in charge of your mind? And I would say people like you and I and my audience, we are more compos mentis and more in charge of our minds than the general population. It's very strange to be alive in 2026. It's like being a stranger in a very strange land. And so I put a fair amount of effort into self-defense. I feel like I'm not going to go pass by quietly and obediently. I'm going to be outspoken. I'm going to take risks. I'm going to look after my health the best way that I know how. And that's what I'm doing. Funny thing about it is I've had health issues all my life. I'm not going to bore everybody with the details, but I have better health now than I did when I was 35. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be 70. And I'm as surprised as anyone that I'm still around and kicking and learning new things and doing my own podcast and doing all my own promotion work and doing all my graphic arts and doing everything. And, I'm really, really enjoying my life, but I also paid my dues. So stepping out of the mainstream is difficult. What helped me? This is funny. I just realized this the other day. I spent 17 years as an adult as a Jehovah's Witness, and that's a very strict religion. When I left, I lost everybody because it's a shunning religion. If you leave, they pretend you're dead. And but you know what? Going through that trial of fire prepared me for not being accepted in the popular groups in the mainstream, by my family members who think I'm a nutter. It prepared me. So now I'm like got this shielding and I'm immune to whatever their opinions are. In fact, I even do one better. I go, whatever their opinion is of me is none of my business. I don't have to even bother with it. And oh my gosh, am I ever having fun and making wonderful friends, on this side of reality. So we've talked a bit about Morgellons. We've talked about implants. What else do you want us to know? And do you have any predictions? They don't have to be psychic predictions that are guaranteed to be real, but just based on the way things have been going, especially the last 5 years. Do you have any predictions for how you see things going in our near future, or anything else that you want to tell my audience? Because I'm sure they'd love to hear it.
Well, first of all, I'd like to go back to that, being a tinfoil hat, people not, I mean, like you said, who cares about someone's opinion? I always say, there's a saying, opinions are like rectums, everyone's got one.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting because, I call the thing within you. You know, when you go through this thing, I ended up the same. 2007 went bankrupt. My father shamed. Well, I'm an accountant. How dare you got bankrupt? It's shame on the family. But I went bankrupt. It was nothing to do with you. But anyway, you go through all this thing, and what happens is what I call the couldn't give a shitometer, it kind of explodes, like, you know. So what happens is that you get to a place where you just like, oh, bless them. You know, I look at people now and they start berating, oh, bless you. What's within you that's really triggering you? Because, you know, to be honest, I'm completely horizontal. You know, I don't worry about anything. And I think it's really important to, you know, be in that tranquil place. You know, I don't get stressed by money, to get stressed by anything. And I think another thing as well is if you can get to that point where don't keep saying, oh, I don't, how am I going to pay that bill? I don't have enough. You've got to rewire that mind. God, thank you, God, I've got everything. And ever since I changed that mindset, you know, I've had more than enough. You know, I'm a multimillionaire now. Do I need to be, you know, but I've always got enough food on the table. And, you know, I just chuckle sometimes, walk around the house. It's in the middle of the woods, 40 acres. And I just thank God for it, you know, because I think being here protects me and keeps me safe energetically so that you can do the work, because it's a lot of work. People are losing it at the moment, like big time. So what I would say is that, you know, now in the future, now it's all going south. There's a lot of noise. Don't look at the stock markets. Don't look at silver, gold, you know, crypto. Don't worry about it. The whole thing's transitioning. I did hear, can I guarantee this? No. But I did hear that as of yesterday, the maritime system and the banking system has kind of stopped. And on the 1st of February, the whole new quantum system and the sovereign law is coming into play. So this is, you know, sovereign law day, you know, so we should be celebrating. But I believe, and I think what's going to happen over the next 90 days is it's going to get pretty tumultuous. Now, if you stay in your space and don't get involved with it, just, you know, focus on the outcome. When it comes out of it, we're all going to be like blissy. I mean, this country is absolutely abundant with gold, silver, all the instruments it needs. It's got loads of money. You know, it makes the national debt here look like petty cash. $38 trillion. I mean, we don't even know that anyway. So what you've got to do, I think, there's so much noise and so much confusion and so much, what do you call it, discombobulation, that you've just got to allow it to unfold, because the only way to shut these cabal people down is to create so much noise and so many different elements going on that it like makes your head spin. So let him get on, you know. And I think it's going to transition into something absolutely incredible. I mean, I've seen some of the technology, not all of it, but I've seen some of it. And for example, Stargate technology, what's that? I'm talking about the ones you can have in your room. So you can have like a frame, seen it, you know, and basically you switch it on, you can walk through it. So you just disappear like a bubble. And, you know, you type the coordinates of, like, Karen, we're coming for dinner tomorrow. So you type your coordinates, then we'll just walk through your front room into your, you know, gate. And so anti-gravitational craft, you know, you can travel halfway across the universe in virtually no time because it folds time. And so you end up in, you know, massive different places. You might be able to go on Venus for holidays, things like this. All this is available. But the problem is that the Alliance, the Galactic Federation, of which I chair, I'm one of the chairmen of it, they won't allow people to travel off planet in the current state they're in, like anger and want war and everything else. The whole planet's got to be cleaned up before they authorize that. Once they authorize that, it means then that people can, you know, let's go to Venus for a weekend, walk through your thing, you were there, you know, or let's go to Pluto, let's wherever you're going. And you go on planet. Would you need cars? Yes, locally, but anti-gravitational, there won't be normal cars. You just type in the coordinates, you at your store within seconds. And these things travel really fast. So replicates anything, you know. I mean, Tesla invented that. They're available. So they're using all this technology now, little by little. A lot of it's been contained in Greenland. That's why they want Greenland, very important place. Not about the minerals, who cares about that? But they want to also protect with a golden dome around it. So in the future, what they want to do is have frequency envelopes where it stops all these negative energy entities coming through, like draconians and anything else. So it protects the people. because we've been infiltrated. People think it's the Rothschilds. No, they're just puppets. They're nobodies. We're talking about the Draconians. We're talking about Luciferians. We're talking about the Anunnaki. Those are the guys who are actually in charge. These are the people. So, so I think it's going to be an amazing year. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it easy right now? Absolutely not. But, the golden age is coming for sure. I've seen it. And, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And you won't have any stress about money, nothing else. What it'll do is allow you to actually really focus on the gifts you have within you. And I always encourage people to do that. I was on a podcast some time back. It was interesting. I was talking about, how I developed the ministry, because obviously, I went bankrupt and then came over in 2010, opened an office and build it, they'll come. Sat there for 3 months. Where are they? They're not coming. And I said, okay, this is not funny. What's happened? I said, it's within. Get out there, So I started to go to small expos. I didn't have much money then. Spent $100 on a table, and I was slam busy. No one ever heard of me. Just slam busy every time, because if it's divinely aligned, people have that knowing. Oh, I need some healing off this person, and it just got bigger and bigger. Now we work on probably about 3,000 people a week with general groups, specialized groups, one-to-ones. So it's having the faith, knowing God's got your back. Don't worry about the beans, the dollar bill. It doesn't matter. I pay our accountant. It was $24,000 a year. Now it's gone down to $6,000 because I found a much better accountant. And they count all the money. They do all the QuickBooks. They do this and that. I don't want to know about that. All I want to do is really focus on the joy of what you do for a living. Do I do my IT? No. The guy charges me $150 an hour to do the IT. Could I do it? Yes. Do I want to do it? Absolutely not. Because it's easy to get him in. He can do it in like half an hour because I've seen this bug before on somebody else's, computer. Well, if I do it, I could sit there for a day, waste time when I can actually be healing people. So it's about letting go of that lack and, I can't afford to get the computer fixed. Just do it. And what happens is it comes back tenfold, So I'd really encourage people to do that. And I'm living proof that 20 years ago, there's a woman, she's about 84. I don't know if I've said that before. And she was just outside Liverpool in England. I know it's 2000. I was married to my first wife. And anyway, I went for a reading. So I walked in and, it was a bit of a rough area and sat down. She goes, right, I'm going to start the reading. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. So she wrote all these things down. She said, well, you're going to get remarried. Okay. You're going to move to America. Okay. You're going to work for God, doing healings, and live off donations. Okay. So I remember going by that. It kind of resonated, but I thought, is this woman serious or what's going on? And look what happened. This is exactly what I do. She was absolutely spot on. I remember that reading. So, yeah, it's incredible.
It is incredible. In the next few minutes, I'm wondering if you can tell people what you offer. So you have, I think it's a couple evenings a week where you do healings, but you do so much more than that. Why don't you tell us what you actually do? And then both of us will encourage people to check out your website, because I understand that's how they would access everything. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to the website, globalenlightenmentproject.com. So what do? We do general groups twice a week. This is by donation. If you don't have any money, please come on, because it's important. Everyone needs a healing. So that's Thursday night, 5 p.m. Central Time, Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time. And then in addition to that, we do one-to-ones. I do one-to-one with you, specialized groups where we have up to 20 people, speak to everyone, do the healing after. We also do, we've got a lot of meditations, things like the brain series from ADHD, ADD really helps, because it's not just a meditation. It actually gets the Bikis that beings to do work on the glands to rebalance the neurochemical balance. We've got meditations for the immune system, which works on the adenoids, tonsils, thymus, spleen. It works on the bone marrow, and all these things. It's helped people a lot over the last 4 to 6 years. And there's many other meditations. And then We do have a ceremony coming up. I don't know whether this is being published, but the ceremony is the 7th. It's Saturday, the 7th of February, and it's a God ritual ceremony. What does that mean? Well, it's actually countering the satanic stuff that's happening in the world. So what we do is we get everyone together and we just chant out, and it's basically the summary is basically calling out big pharma, big tech, big, everything, agriculture, all these big things, the satanic part of the government, satanic part of the, illuminati, all these different things. And what we do is we bring them before God for justice in only the way in our hand, and then release them to God with unconditional love and forgiveness. In that way, it's very powerful, because people often say, well, how are we going to go against the cabal? They've got billions of dollars. Again, the dollar's just worthless, so throw it away. So, calling on God, Goddess, Prime Creator of all that is, releasing that. And it's just very powerful. And, people love coming on it. It takes about 2 hours. So if you've got time on the 7th of February, I'd love you to come on. It's free of charge. We do this for people. We do this for humanity, so. And, we have monthly clearing where every night you get cleared. So put a portal around you, remove any entities, comb the meridians, give you space-time continuum if you've got spirochetes and nanotech like the Morgellons or stealth pathogens, ultimate dimension if you don't, clear the biofield, clear the cache records, detox the body, and we do 9 hot shock releases. That's every single day of the month, so that's really helped people stay balanced as well. So yeah, we do a lot behind the scenes. It's amazing.
It sure is. I have it took me a long time to have faith in myself and in my own powers, but when I started trusting in it, it was just revealed to me. I'll just give you a quick example. I was living, I've never been a rich woman, and nor do I wish to be. It comes with all kinds of complications, Is it worth it? Probably not. But I do definitely want to have enough of what I need. So I wanted to move into a better living situation. And so what I did is I took a book. First of all, I thought about exactly what I wanted. What did I want? How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what area of town, like having a garage in the front so I didn't have to worry about people breaking in the back, having a fenced yard, everything. I wrote it all down, but I wrote it down as if I had already received it. And it didn't happen overnight, but about 6 months later, and I just closed the book and put it away. It's not like I was thinking about it and trying to force it into happening. And about 6 months later, it happened. All the situations I needed to fall into place to make that happen happened. And I've been here now for over 5 years. I'm very, very happy. It's made a huge difference in my mental health. There's a lot of low income people. We mostly just hear about the middle class and higher as if the rest of us don't exist, but we do exist. And when you don't have a lot of money for rent, or you can't buy your own house, you often end up with rentals that have mold infestations. There's toxicity from that. There's all the stresses that go along with not having enough. And when you get to the point where you have enough and all your needs are met, such a blessing. It's just such a blessing. But I believe that I'm co-creating with universal consciousness all the time. And when we're sort of brainwashed into thinking we don't deserve it. We're not good enough. We're not smart enough. We're not beautiful enough. We're not skinny enough. You know how it goes. But I have found that as imperfect as I am, if my blessings come to me, I'm sure they can come to everyone else. Wondered what your thoughts are about that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I think when you get, I think manifestation is a combination of surrender, just knowing God's got your back. I think a big element is gratitude. I mean, I used to teach a Magi. Melchizedek is kind of, the Magi were the priests of the Melchizedek teachings. The problem is it's all been hijacked, sort of, who knows. But one of the Magi things they used to do is a thing called they do a manifestation where they did the 5-pointed pentagram. Now, people say pentagram, oh, it's dark. It's not. It depends which way you use it. So what we used to do is write out the pentagram, get the Melchizedek angelic writing, not the Luciferian stuff or anything else, and then basically have the 5 points: who, what, where, when, why. So who?
Interesting.
Spell your name. So you spell your name, you write it backwards in the Magi writing. What do you want? Well, you have to make it specific. So I used to say in a vehicle. I had one lady who said a vehicle, and she ended up with a massive van, within a day. She said, well, I said, you have to be specific. Does it need to be a car, Chevy, whatever it is? So what do you want? Where do you want it? Well, in my driveway, at the dealership, it doesn't really matter. When do you want it? In the now, right now. There's no manifestation like, oh, well, let's wait a week or two. We're manifesting right now, it will show up. And then why? Who, what, where, when, why? Why is the biggest thing. Now, think about this, and it's really important. If you're manifesting from God, if you say, well, okay, God, look, I want a Bentley to show off to the ladies around town that I'm stinking rich. Maybe not. But if you say, well, I need a vehicle to get to work, dear God, or I need a van to take the disabled to the swim pool, then that's a God thing. And, you definitely will. You definitely will get everything you need, and I've taught this a few times. And I remember one lady, she said, well, I'm just manifesting. I want to pay my $400, credit card off. And it was $402.23, some weird figure like that. So we did the thing, and you release it, you burn it, release it to God. Within 2 days, the Bank of America phoned up and said, well, you've been with us 20 years, and we're going to give you $402.33, exactly the amount you wanted. And she was like, how much? So, does it work? Absolutely. I actually wrote a book on it. It's called Manifestation, but that's, to me, that's an interim. But if you look at that, manifesting an abundant life, but it talks about this. But to me, I think manifestation is an ongoing thing. When you get into that gratitude, when you get into that surrender, when you get into that, you've got no lack, you're just like, wow, thank you, God, for all the blessings every day. And it does with me. I'm living proof of that, so.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely, me too. I've had some horrendous experiences as a single mom, being homeless with my kids, needing help. And, it's interesting because I've watched all the stuff on how to manifest and everything. And actually, what really works for me is a heartfelt prayer, and then leaving it in the hands of, the greater forces, and just leave it and forget about it, and then get on with my life and do, what needs to be done. And, it didn't take long before the problems I had at that time worked themselves out better than I ever could have imagined or planned. And this has happened enough times. Well, now I'm an old person, so I'm using my time doing podcasts, telling other people, bringing on guests that can also confirm that this is a very, very magical world, but we're loved. We are loved no matter what we do or who we think we are. We're loved. And it's such a beautiful thing when we finally get that. Life becomes just so much simpler. So I'm so thrilled that you could come on today and share your experiences and your talents, your healing, everything with us. Before we sign off for today, can you tell people where to reach? Of course, all the links are below, and I've even put the name of your book in below, and your services and everything below. But do you want to tell people, because some people will be listening to this while they're driving the car, an audio platform might be good for them to hear it.
Yeah, so if you go to globalenlightenmentproject.com, we do have people it's interesting, we do have people full-time in the office, because people think, well, why don't you just get like, an AI, booking service? And the answer is because I want people to feel what the ministry is all about. I don't do AI. I've got girls in the office. They'll talk to you, so if you want to phone them, it's 417-334-6200. You can book an appointment. You can get help from them. they're there. We've got 3 girls in the office. We've got about 9 staff, in fact. And that's why I wanted it, because I wanted to make sure that people get engagement. They're not just got this like closed door of AI. I'm your AI. Would you want to book something? No, I'm not interested in that. So yeah, just give us a call, email in. If you want to email, it's info at ChristopherMacklinMinistries.com. That's the ministry email, or just put an inquiry through the website. It'll go to the email, and yeah, we'll get back to you. And the girls will call you. And if you want help, people do need help sometimes. Everyone can heal themselves. It's just that when you get programmed, it's very difficult to sometimes get out of the programming without help. So, bless your heart.
Awesome. I also want to thank everyone who showed up in the live chat today. Absolutely lovely. I loved your discussion in the live chat. And I'm so glad that you're all appreciating Dr. Macklin as much as I am. I want to thank all those that are watching the replay on an audio podcast. We're all over the place as part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. I'm on all audio platforms as well. So if you're listening to this on an audio platform, perhaps you could leave me some stars, but do check out Dr. Macklin, his website, what he's doing, what he's working on. It's so important, especially now that we're in the days that we're in now. We need truth more than we need anything else, and it's in scarce supply. So thank you, Dr. Macklin, so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thanks, Karen. Bless your heart. Thank you for having me. It's such a sweet pleasure.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. So we'll say bye-bye for now, and we'll see you all next time. Take care, everybody.
Bless you.
Thank you for joining me for the Aliens and Angels podcast. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available on Amazon worldwide. Subscribe to my YouTube, Rumble, and X channels at Karen Holton TV. The like button and leave me a comment. And please do share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All of the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you'll also find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.